And as some of you may know, this program is produced in Anacostia in Washington, D.C., because it is our belief here on this program that national principles, global principles begin rooted in local communities. And here to talk about a local community initiative right here at We Act Radio is the co-founder of We Act Radio, Kymone. Freeman, my good friend, is here to talk about a new initiative we're doing here. So, without further ado, welcome to the program.
It's an honor to be here in your new studio.
Hey man, it's your new studio, but it's a beauty, and thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. So let's start out with this. Who was Sharnice Milton?
Sharnice Milton was a local journalist here in Washington, D.C., who studied. She had a master's degree at Syracuse University in journalism. And she came back home and wanted to tell the stories in her community. Unfortunately, her name needs to be now added to the list of slain journalists because we lost her 2 years ago, leaving a journalist assignment, reading a book at a bus stop, and she was oblivious to her surroundings and got hit by a stray bullet. And we can do a psychological profile on the people that killed her. It was a functioning illiterate young person who was denied opportunities, and he made bad choices, and this was one of them.
And where was she when this happened?
She was around the corner from my studio on Good Hope Road, and we were on the radical side of Martin Luther King Avenue on Good Hope Road. She was right up the hill.
So we're on Martin Luther King. You go down there about
on top of the
100
hill.
feet, take a right.
And take a right on the top of that hill in Anacostia. Her life came to an end, and we wanted to make sure that her story continues. And she was an avid reader, and we found out recently that there's no bookstores east of the river. And so we went about the work of doing something, and we're going to erect one in our unused basement and name it after Sharnice Milton and have her name added to the list of slain journalists.
So this will be a bookstore right here?
Right here in our studio, beneath our studio, in our unused basement is just a storage facility right now. We're going to renovate that. We have to raise the money and funds to do that. It's $180,000. We were optimistic that this is an idea whose time has come because this is a illiteracy desert, and we're looking to change that.
So why is literacy important?
You have to look at the fact that third grade testing scores often are used to justify prison population projections. They are doing prison population projections based upon children who are not reading on their level by the third grade. So if you want to get tough on crime, get tough on illiteracy. And we felt that the most proactive way to do that, in the words of Frederick Douglass, whose house we also sit at the foot of City Hill here in Anacostia, he said that it's easier to educate children than to fix broken men. And so we're going about that work. I think that it extends our concept here at We Act Radio as an independent media outlet to address the issues locally, nationally, and internationally, and not just talk about it, but do something about it.
You know, the educational philosopher John Dewey said that education is not the filling of a pail, meaning that people are not just there to be force-fed information, it's the lighting of a fire. So
illumination.
Yeah, illumination and burning, you know, and heat and all of the above. Yeah. And so where does this fit into that? Because that's what it made me think of.
It does. And, you know, for those who are unaware, we operate a media arts training program every summer with the D.C. Summer Youth Employment Program. Historically, it's been with the D.C. Commission on Arts and Humanities in partnership. But this is an opportunity for us to extend that program year-round. By opening up our studio to the public and to young people, and to give them an opportunity to not only have a place to have a reading lounge and discuss ideas, but be a literacy destination east of the river. We want to have authors come here. We want to host events. And frankly, we don't have the space to do that in our current studios, and this will give us an opportunity to be more effective to our community.
Well, I love the idea of having authors come here and do events, too, because, you know, it's interesting, because when people talk about literacy, Kymone, they usually think about reading. Literacy is learning to read, but it's also learning to write, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just going back to that comment about the pail and the fire. It's not just taking in information, it's putting out what you've got to say, too.
It's exchange, it's a communication, it's a comprehension. I cannot tell you how many times I've had students in our media arts training program read something, I had them read an article, and then I asked them, well, what does that mean? They can read the words, they can even tell you what the word means, but they don't understand the concept of the story. They have a problem with the filter system putting things into their own words. And this is why I take offense when people say, oh, well, there's no bookstores east of the river, but, you know, there are libraries. It's almost as if, oh, well, you don't have health care, but you do have the emergency room. You know, you can't have conversations in the library. You can't have dialogue in the library. You can't debate in the library. You can't discuss ideas in the library. What are you reading? What are you reading? I read this. That cannot happen in the confines of a library. That has to happen in a reading lounge, in a space that's open and dedicated to conversations of literary value. And we need to have more of that, not less of it.
Now, before I get all the librarians of the country writing angry letters to me, I mean, obviously a library is a great place. You can get books for free.
Cannot lose the libraries.
The librarians help people and all that, but you're right, it's not a place for an exchange. I've always loved bookstores, always loved them, always drawn to them, and I think that's why I got into writing, because, you know, I hung out at bookstores and I would ask the bookstore owners, you know, or the people there, what do you think of this book? What do you think of that book? I'm interested in this. What should I read? And by the way, there's good news, which is, for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, but you know, these electronic books, the e-books started taking over, but now print is coming back. And independent bookstores are on the rise after being down.
I'm glad to see that, because one of the biggest stakes that facing independent bookstores is the cost of real estate because of gentrification and the inflated cost of doing business. Idle Time Books, for example, is here in D.C. We have also Upshur Street Books. These are independent bookstores that have managed to survive, and they're advising us so we can have a good launch. But here we at Radio, by putting this bookstore in our basement, that's insulating it from having to have the capitalistic concerns of making money. You know, it just has to make sense. We're not creating a separate entity to charge them rent to make money off of this. We're here to create a separate entity that's self-sustaining and makes sense. And that's why we're doing this, and that's why it's a perfect opportunity all the way around. We're hoping people will drop by our studio, send us books. Every Wednesday, 5 to 8, we have people coming in, dropping off books that they love. We want books that you love. That's the prerequisite. If you love the book, we want the book. Our hashtag is We Love Books, and people could follow us by keeping up with that. And this Saturday, we're launching a big campaign. This 2-year anniversary of the untimely death of Shanice Milton, and we're having a big performance here, kickoff, and we're launching our fundraiser and hoping people will join us. Big performance here is, where is here? Here is that we also built a community garden behind our studios, actually financed by Prince Rogers Nelson, because I'm a Green for All fellow, and the money I received from that organization, Green for All, was funded by the late, great Prince Rogers Nelson. So his money created a garden behind our studio, and that's where we're going to have the performance by DC legend EU, and featuring Sugar Bear, and we're going to have the friends of family, and it's a big cookout, and we're hoping to have a successful launch for this fundraiser. Now, if you're in the DC area and you're around for that, you already know that we're on Martin Luther King Avenue near Good Hope Road. Yes. So and if you're not in DC, you can follow that. What was that hashtag again? We Love Books, and we spell love L-U-V. We Love Books. That's the hashtag, and that's also the name of the campaign. And we hope that people will support our fund drive. It's going to launch Saturday, May 27th. And the bookstore doesn't have to make dollars; it just has to make sense. That's right. All right, Kymone Freeman. All right, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Peace. And